All right, now let's talk a little politics in the race for City Hall, and it is still a race here after yesterday's primaries. Now, first up, let's do the numbers here. 40.2%, that's the vote total for Bill de Blasio with just about all the count completed. He would need to stay above the 40% to avoid a runoff, but Bill de Blasio is not going quietly, Dominic, into the good night here. He wants to have the absentee ballots counted. He's going to want to have the military ballots counted. He also wants to have a recount. It's looking like we're going to have to wait another week here at least, right?
Bill Thompson's fighting for his life, and that may be the case. But, you know, it's funny, Anthony Weiner's political career is over, but Anthony Weiner historically plays a big role in this potential runoff that we're talking about. Because Anthony Weiner is the last Democrat that qualified for runoff. Same exact situation, but in his case, it was against Fernando Ferrer. And in the name of party unity, Anthony Weiner said, no runoff, I remove myself, thus conceding the nomination.
So it didn't sound like that Bill Thompson was going that road.
But Anthony Weiner didn't do it on the first night either. So Thompson may decide, I mean, considering, you know, he's a moderate, get along, whatever, he may decide a day or two later, Richard, I'm not going to hang this thing, because he really can throw a monkey wrench into de Blasio.
If he actually makes the runoff, he could win.
He has a very good chance of winning.
So it's not like it's a pipe dream here and he's just trying to be a pain in the...
Part of the screwy part of all of this, and one of the reasons why I kind of hope he does withdraw, is the timing of this. You were doing it by the numbers. Let me throw some numbers up too. How about the number 3 for 3 weeks? 3 weeks until the runoff election is actually held on October 1st, but then 6 days, for 6 more days, the Board of Elections is still taking in absentee ballots. They had to be postmarked by yesterday, but you know, if there's a postmarked absentee ballot that gets there by next Tuesday, so they're not going to even start counting those until next Tuesday. Then you're going to check all the machines again, and then you're going to recount everything. You could find out the day before the October 1st runoff that there is no runoff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
And the one guy doing cartwheels out of this? Joe Lhota.
Joe Lhota. And poor Bill de Blasio, he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because if he goes forward and runs a general election strategy, then you're arrogant and you're ignoring your runoff opponent. And if you focus on the runoff, then Joe Lhota, that's right. So he's in a very tough position, Bill de Blasio.
Now, let's talk some more numbers. 14. The number of years Christine Quinn has been in city government, and it will end, period, come this December. City Council Speaker and the longtime front runner in the polls. Let's be honest, when this thing first started, she was considered the overwhelming favorite. She's out after finishing a distant third last night. And I think we can point to a lot of reasons why, about missed opportunities, but also missteps. She thought a year ago, Dom, that, hey, I'm Michael Bloomberg's basically rubber stamp, but that's a good thing. He was a popular mayor at the time, even they didn't like the third term and how he got there. She couldn't run away from him at the end fast enough, but it was too late.
It's never a good thing when the media tells the public who the next mayor is. And the media told us that Christine Quinn would be the person to succeed or take over after Bloomberg. I like Christine Quinn. She's a sweetheart. It just didn't work out for her. I mean, I remember the days when she was a community activist getting arrested every St. Patrick's Day parade because she wanted inclusion.
Yeah. And
look now, she can legally get married.
And one lesson to learn here, she didn't lose because she was gay. In fact, the gay support in New York City went away from her. And she didn't lose because she was a woman. She lost a lot of the female vote here. They went de Blasio's way as well. She lost because, I think, when she was told, or in the piece, that she was too much of a you-know-what here, and she was tough to get along with and everything else, she didn't embrace it. And I think she should have just said, this is who I am, and this is my biography and everything else. And she was just...
I don't know how much voters care about that, and that's you know, some inside articles on the process.
I think it's just a general perception.
I can see her scratching her head because, you know, I'm the supporter and getting support from a 50% popular current mayor. That should be enough to give me a boost in the polls. And instead, it seemed like even though Bloomberg's still popular, her support of him
We said it last night. What's Christie's biggest calling card or appeal to many? It's authenticity. Like him or hate him, you know who he is, and when he says it, you believe he means it. For her, one day she's soft in general, Christine Quinn. The other day, she'll get in your face. One day, she's talking about bulimia and alcoholism and challenges she had to overcome here. And then in the last thing, she's doing everything she can to talk about what of an historic candidate she is. I think people want to know that you're comfortable in your own skin. You're not trying to score political points. This is who you are. Take me or leave me.
She and Thompson also both got beaten to their left. I mean, de Blasio way outran everybody to their left.
Beaten to the left. I just want to make this one point. I almost fell off my chair at about 3 a.m. at home this morning looking at the Times website. One of the biggest stories to come out of this race in the days ahead, de Blasio beat Thompson in many districts in Harlem.
Yep.
In Harlem.
Well, you were in Sylvia's yesterday early, and then what you heard
But
kind
Bill
of
Thompson
verified.
lives in Harlem. He lives in Harlem. Sharpton, you talk about stabbing in the back with Thompson.
Good friends, except from the endorsement.
And you know where Thompson did win? He won like Brighton Beach, Coney Island, and Staten Island.
Hey, he got
won
the NYPD and the FDNY
He
endorsement.
won
I mean,
in
think about that.
Republican areas.
The black guy gets the cops and the firefighters, and the white guy with the Italian name gets the black vote in Harlem. Hey, you go figure. All right.
2013.
Well, I can tell you who did lose, without a doubt here, and it comes back to numbers. That's three, as in three sex scandal-tainted lawmakers who lost and lost big last night. Anthony Weiner, dead last here. Elliot Spitzer lost a controller's race. Let's be honest. About a month ago, you didn't even know who he was running against. Well, he lost to Scott Stringer. And formerly Assemblyman and sexual harasser Vito Lopez, I don't care your politics, we got to root for him to lose. He lost his bid for his city council spot, which even looked likely. Your sense, Mike, do you think the guys lost because the public was just tired of it? Or they lost because even though they were willing to maybe give him a second chance, they just didn't think they could trust him?
Yeah, I think the trust factor was key, especially for Spitzer. There was just one thing after another, especially between Twitter and all the other social media things that were coming out. They just had a problem with trust, I think, and I think that became the overwhelming factor.
I think Sidney Leathers killed it for anybody who was trying to make a comeback. I mean, when that whole thing broke, it killed Weiner, but then I think it also tainted Spitzer, and Lopez, I think, was. I don't know, because everybody was saying Lopez was probably ahead in the race to win that city council seat. I'm not sure when the worm turned for him, but Sidney Leathers, I think, was the turning point for everybody.
I really believe Spitzer would have won. Weiner had negative coattails, and when he went south, Spitzer went south with him.
Carlos Danger.
If there's another goodbye, and this one nobody saw, and I know you got a historical number to give some context, but we go to the next number, which is 6. 6 terms that the Brooklyn DA, Charles Hines, was in office, and he will be out. He was beaten yesterday by Kenneth Thompson. Without getting into the inside baseball, if people follow, there was obviously a huge scandal involving the detectives in Brooklyn and what went there, but it takes a lot to lose as an incumbent DA.
It hasn't happened in 55 years that a sitting district attorney has lost their reelection bid. Charles Hines made national headlines as the prosecutor in Howard Beach. You covered that story. He's done a lot of good for the community, a lot of innovative programs, taking judges literally to community areas and sitting cases so that people don't have open warrants. He's done a lot of innovative things, domestic violence and so on. Ken Thompson, an upstart, very ambitious. Very ambitious. Did you hear me?
Is he
very ambitious? He's the new district attorney. Apparently, he won the primary.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he didn't win in Brooklyn as a Democrat. But all right, when we come back, we're going to come back to some of the legacies of 9/11 and one of the big issues that has happened, and it has to do with surveillance in this country, surveillance nation. The post-9/11 world, we've gotten used to sacrificing privacy for the sake of security, but the question is, has now, with of all things, the Snowden affair actually started to turn public opinion? Has the American public said, we've gone too far? RFL continues that conversation after this.